were your expectations for yourself this year?
You know what? I think for me, Dan, it was more of I wanted to be consistent in my perspective, my outlook on the season, and try to stay focused on the day to day. And I think that that's a good question. I think that for me that's the thing I can kind of hold my hat and for the coaches on this year. And I know that we came up short as far as not winning a world championship, and I get that, and that's the ultimate goal. But I think that the process to stay focused and, to overcome adversities, but to have the guys not waver and to be relentless and stay the course, I think that that's what we did. And, even having Kenley Jansen pitch 3 innings of that last game in Chicago says a lot about the character of our guys.
How much do you second-guess yourself now, even after the season's over?
You know what? Honestly, is that the first time I really had a chance to replay the season was yesterday. I really didn't take too much time in thinking about managed moves and things that I might regret. And I will say this, that there was a lot of scrutiny with me taking the kid Ross Stripling out in his major league start out of a no-hitter in San Francisco, and also Rich Hill in Miami out of a perfect game. But, Dan, the thing I told the coaches and the players the first day of spring training is it's got to be about the Dodgers. And I think for me to not take those guys out, and Ross never pitched that much in professionally, and Rich obviously was dealing with the blister, would have compromised, what I was saying, it would have compromised the team. So I think that those are the two things I would probably scrutinize the most. And if I had to do it over again, Dan, I would do the same thing. So I think that as far as regret, there's things that I made, decisions I made that didn't work out, but that happens in any leadership role. But I really don't have any regrets.
Do you second-guess managers or manage along in a game that you're not involved in, but you're just watching?
You know what? I wouldn't call it second-guessing. I think it's more of, from my lens, it's more of, with my personnel, what I would do in certain situations. But I think that once you become a manager and you realize that there's so much second-guessing going on in what you're doing, and understanding that there's a lot of preparation that goes into every decision that me and the coaches make, and you've got to give other coaches that same respect, and whether it's in baseball or in football, basketball. So a quick story, it's pretty funny, Dan, is that I'm a sports fan like you, and I was talking to Buddy Black, former manager now with the Rockies, and we were talking about football one day, and I was frustrated that it was in September. We were watching a football game before one of our games, and I was talking about the play calling, and he kind of called me out a little bit and said, don't you think that they know that they're running this off-tackle play for a reason, and they're not running a play action for a reason? And it just kind of hit me that absolutely this offensive coordinator knows what they're trying to do. So at that point in time, this is a few years ago, and it just really hit me hard, like, well, no, duh. And so I think from that point on, I realized that these guys know what they're doing, and they're the plan.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.